And welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. This is 5 takeaways from Fulham's victory against Hull City in the FA Cup. We will have a full post-match show. Yes, we will. On Sunday, Max Cohen will be joining me, and we will go through this entire match in more detail. These are just 5 takeaways I'm taking out from this match. But tomorrow, we'll go into a lot more into the match. But let's start with number 5. And number 5 is Hull City was the worthy and right opponent to challenge Fulham here. Now, as we get further into the season, and I would like a cup run, but that is secondary here. Obviously, the Premier League is primary. Having a worthy opponent in the FA Cup could help Fulham in the long run because as we've seen when Fulham were in the championship and say they would play Premier League teams, it's a different style. It's a different intensity at times. And I want to give Hull City a lot of credit because I thought they brought the intensity. They made things difficult on Fulham. They deserve a lot of credit for the way they played. They should have scored a goal in this match. If you watch it back, they definitely should have scored. Had a great opportunity early on, and it showed the intensity from the get-go, taking advantage of Bobby Decordova-Reid. Should have scored there, but they didn't. Fulham were controlling the play, but every time that Hull City got the ball, they were, especially in the first half, more dangerous. And in the long run, I think this is a positive. I think this is a much bigger positive than it is a negative. It's the right opponent, and it really was a worthy opponent. That's why it's my number 5. I want to give Hull City a lot of credit. Not a big fan of this team at all. Anyone that knows me, I'll talk a little bit more about the reasons why I feel that way on the post-match show. But to give him credit, give Russ Sr. credit, he set his team up to beat Fulham, and they gave Fulham everything that they could handle in this match. They totally did. So they deserve a lot of credit. They absolutely do. That's where I'm going to start. I always like to give credit to the other side when they fully deserve it. This is a match where Hull City deserved it, even though I'm not a fan of this side at all. Forgot to mention this. Please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Really appreciate that. So please do subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you very much. Okay, let's go to my number 4 takeaway. That was number 5. Number 4. And this one's an interesting one because Levin Kurzawa has barely played in like the past season and a half. So he plays in this match. He starts in this match. I'm glad that he did. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was a mixed bag. And I think that is a little bit to be expected from a player that has not played that much. His positioning wasn't the greatest, obviously. I thought he got caught out more than a few occasions, especially in the first half. Left Fulham exposed defensively. That is not good. But to balance that out and to be fair to Kurzawa, his crossing ability is there. It is fully there. The unfortunate situation with Kurzawa is that he needs match time. He needs to get more match fit, and he needs to play more. But he's not going to play over Anthony Robinson. So that's the problem that he is going to deal with. I think Fulham need an FA Cup run to get Kurzawa up to pace, basically. And we'll see how that plays out. Kurzawa was a mixed bag, good and bad. Absolutely, listen, I've seen a lot of criticism of the way he played, and it's warranted. It's absolutely warranted, but you have to take into consideration the situation at hand with Kurzawa not playing much, and let's give this player a chance. Let's not bury him like we did Kevin and Babu. Kevin and Babu probably deserve to be buried, okay, because he really has not worked out. This player, way too early to tell. Give him a shot and let him play a little bit, because when you saw the crosses in the box, thinking this is what we need. This is actually what you'd like to see from Anthony Robinson more. He doesn't have that ability. Hopefully, Anthony Robinson will develop it more. Kurzawa does. And I think at some point he might be someone that could actually help Fulham. So I'm not giving up on him. We just saw him play in an FA Cup match. Like I said, if I'm being honest, good and bad. And I think that's fine to talk about the positives and the negatives on a player, because there were some positives here. Okay, let's now move on to number 3. And everyone knows how I feel about Bernd Leno as your number one goalkeeper. He deserves to be and will be your number one goalkeeper. But as a backup, Marek Rodak is actually making a very good case as a very capable backup goalkeeper. You could argue Fulham don't win this match today without Marek Rodak. I'm sure many will say he was your man of the match. We'll talk about that on the post-match show. But it's a very interesting situation with Rodak. I want him to play. I desperately want him to play. But the thing is, he at this point hasn't shown the ability to be a number one goalkeeper in the Premier League. And that's why you went out and got Bernd Leno. You did it for a reason. Marek Rodak hasn't shown you enough to get that shirt. He just hasn't. But he's proven that in a situation, he could step up. If, let's say, Leno goes out for a game or two, I feel confident Rodak can get the job done, but he just is not at the same level as Bernd Leno. And I'll put it to you this way. Do you think that Marek Rodak can steal you a match like Bernd Leno did against Leicester City? I'm not so sure about that. Bernd Leno can do it. I'm not sure if Rodak can do it, but in all honesty, I think he is a very capable backup. I don't know how long he's going to want to stay at Fulham, but I think we should all be happy that he's around. And he has earned that backup goalkeeper position. He won't be the starter, but he's a very capable backup. So let's now to number 2, and it actually involves a player that I've been waiting to see for a while, and it's Manor Solomon. And what's interesting about this is that, yes, he played for 15 minutes. I was afraid he was going to be out for a longer period of time. And the upside on Manor Solomon is massive. And if you think about it, he could end up being, if you have Manor Solomon on one side, and say you have Willian on the other side, or say, you mix and match. It was interesting that Manor Solomon played on the right today. Is that a precursor to what's going to happen when he's back fit? Could he play on the right and Willian play on the left? It's just, maybe we should be reading a little bit into it that he played on the right here. And I thought he was effective, but it's only 15 minutes. So it's hard to really read too much into what he did in this match. But the fact that he is back and he is playing is huge for Fulham Football Club. It's a brand new signing. I can't say that enough. It really is a brand new signing. So let's be happy that Manor Solomon played against Hull City, got his feet wet. He hasn't played in since the Liverpool match. So hopefully this will be a step in the right direction. I'd have him come off the bench against Chelsea and maybe another couple matches. And then it's time to see him start in the Premier League. This player, I don't think is going to be a backup. He is going to be a starter. I think he's going to be an impact player for Fulham. Similar to what Paulinho is, Pereira. Manor Solomon should be that player. So the fact that we saw that from the beginning, again, against Liverpool, and now you just saw glimpses of it here, we're starting far back because of the injury. But if he becomes the player that many think he could be, it could be huge for Fulham Football Club. You could be dangerous on both sides. Nothing against Bobby Decker, Dover Reed, and Harry Wilson as other wingers. I think this guy's a different level. So we'll see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. But it's positive news, very positive news that he came off the bench in this FA Cup match. And I'm sure he'll play in a future FA Cup match as well. Okay, so let's go to my number one takeaway. And I think this is an easy one. 4 wins in a row could help make winning a habit. I think this is important. Fulham have been playing very well this season in the Premier League. And the number one goal is the Premier League. I do want a cup run, but this is the goal. The goal is to get the best position you can. Get into Europe on your own in the Premier League. I think it's a possibility. And what these wins can do is really breed confidence and a winning mentality. 4 wins in a row does that. 3 does that. So now you're going into this Chelsea match. This is why winning this match is actually a very positive thing. You go into that Chelsea match full of confidence, and the interesting part of this, you look at the 4 wins, they're all different. They've won matches in different ways. You don't have to dominate an opponent to get a win. You just need to find a way to win. And that's what's great about this Fulham team, is that they find different ways to win matches. And I think that's going to help out a great deal moving forward as we play, going through a real tough stretch of playing Chelsea twice. You play Tottenham, and of course you also play Newcastle United, who, by the way, lost today. Just going to throw that out there. Fulham won. They lost. I wouldn't read too much into an FA Cup victory or loss there, but the one thing I will say is winning becomes contagious, just like losing does. Keep winning. Hopefully this will help them beat Chelsea at Craven Cottage, which would be phenomenal. We all want to see that. This win cannot hurt that confidence of the players. And again, they found another way to win. They saw another match out. Key saves again from Marek Rodek. Key saves in the last match from Bernd Leno. It's all building up into something. That's why I think this is such a positive for Fulham Football Club, is that they've now won 4 in a row. Yes, one is in the cup. Yes, these 3 wins you wouldn't call as a dominating performances, wonderful performances, but there were 9 points, and now you're moving on in the cup. Very positive things going on with Fulham Football Club. Confidence is building, and that to me I think is huge going into Chelsea. Okay, before I wrap this up, I do have some comments. Let me see what we got here from some of our listeners and people watching. Chris Goodwin brings up a good point. We won without Mitro today. That's something that I'll bring up in the post-match show. They play without Mitro, and that was the right decision. I'm glad that Mitro did not play at all. Wasn't even on the bench. Great decision from Marco Silva. Trevor Stino says, Man City away, Knicks guaranteed. I've heard so many people say that. Trevor, I hope you're wrong. I really hope you're wrong. Let's see. See what else we got. I'm just going to read this from Rick25. Nice away result. Cup run would be a great addition to our already great season. Rick, you're 100% right. Like I said, let's have a cup run. But as others have said, hopefully it's not Man City at all. Let's hope we're not going to be running into Man City. That wouldn't be great. Let's see what my friend Wayne has to say. Solomon will be a great player for Fulham. I really hope so. And this is from my friend Chris. Chelsea are not that great. I would not be shocked by a Fulham win. Chris, I agree with you. But Fulham will be playing without Mitro. But the flip side, Chelsea are dealing with some injuries as well. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Everyone with Fulham wants them to beat Chelsea. I think it would be big. So for me, I think it would be very important to beat Chelsea. We'll see if they do. Cameron Patrick Scott says, Howard Tosin and Diop as a pairing today. Okay. They were okay. But again, they weren't fantastic. They weren't bad. Let's just say they were better than they were in the Carabao Cup. How about that? That's an improvement because they were terrible in the Carabao Cup. Let's see what we got from Colm Bugler. I take a draw against Chelsea, but hope for a win. I'm there with you, Colm. I'm there with you. I would prefer a win, though. I want them to beat Chelsea in the worst way. I think that would be great for all of us. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this quick episode of Cottage Talk, my 5 takeaways. And I apologize. My internet connection isn't the greatest, so possibly my video is a little bit choppy. So I apologize for that. I'll be doing the show in a different location tomorrow. So hopefully that will help with my internet connection. But we will have this post-match show. It will be live at 3 p.m. UK time. Me and Max Cohen, we're going to go into much more detail on this 2-0 victory for Fulham against Hull City. And one last thing before we go, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, now part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.